Good morning to my next guest, Jacob Rees-Mogg. He's the chairman of the European Research Group of MPs, Eurosceptic MPs in the House of Commons, and joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Pleasure to have your company this morning in our
Thank
glamorous
you for
studios.
inviting me.
I know you've been in our old studios. Is it something of an improvement?
This is absolutely fantastic. It's very smart. The views are terrific. I'm amazed we get any work done. Just look out of the window, contemplating.
We're not planning to get any more work done after today, don't worry. Now, let's talk about what is going on. Specifically, I want to talk about the Chancellor, Philip Hammond. He's been giving a speech to the Confederation of British Industry today. He's basically going to say, look, whoever gets in as leader, and this clearly appears to be aimed at Boris Johnson if he becomes leader, he's favourite for the party at the moment. He's saying that there is not a mandate to knowingly inflict damage on our economy and living standards and having a no-deal Brexit. Did the 2016 referendum result, did the 2017 general election result, would a leadership result, whoever wins, would that be a mandate for a no-deal Brexit?
Of course there's a mandate for the no-deal Brexit. The Chancellor's simply wrong. That in 2016 people voted to leave. They didn't vote for a deal. And in 2017, Theresa May kept on saying no deal is better than a bad deal. So people understood that that was the underpinning of our departure from the European Union. But it's important to remember that the Treasury has humiliated itself, that it's got everything wrong. It came out with these terrible forecasts before we voted to leave, saying we'd lose 800,000 jobs. It's kept on bemoaning the state of the economy, and the economy keeps on doing well, regardless of what the Treasury says. And the Chancellor, being in charge of a failed institution, digs deeper and doubles down, to use that awful phrase.
Well, we don't seem to be at the Tory leadership contest just yet, although three people, including Boris Johnson, have thrown their hats into the ring, although it sounded very much like Priti Patel, the former International Development Secretary, was eyeing this top prize as well when we spoke to her an hour ago. But let's talk about what's happening this week, Thursday. We've got the European elections. You are a Conservative MP, but you're also a Brexiteer. You're going to be voting for the Brexit Party.
No, I will vote Conservative. I'm a Conservative Member of Parliament, and I think it would be letting down my fellow Conservatives to vote for another party. But I know many Conservatives who are voting for the Brexit Party, and when I've addressed Conservative associations recently, they have indicated to me that many members will be supporting the Brexit Party, and that is a sign of the failure of the government to deliver what it promised. Remember, Theresa May said over 100 times we would leave on the 29th of March.
Lord Hasseltine, of course, as a Tory peer, former Deputy Prime Minister of the party, he was on my show yesterday. He has said that he's going to be voting Liberal Democrat. He's had the whip withdrawn from him temporarily in the House of Lords. Still a party member, though. Do you think it's going to be the case that many Tories who are Remainers might vote for Lib Dems, Change UK, other Remain parties, and many Brexiteers may vote for the Brexit Party? And do you think they should all keep their membership, or should they be drummed out of the party?
I think the compromise come to with Lord Hasseltine is actually very wise. And to say that, look, you can't take the whip in the House of Commons. You can't be a Tory legislator if you're saying that you're voting for another party. But in a one-off election that nobody wanted, for an institution that most British people don't think is important or should even exist, then voting randomly is not a serious offence and you can maintain your party membership. I think that's the right balance and reflects the reality. It looks as if about 3/4 of Conservative voters previously will vote for the Brexit Party on Thursday. And I think if we were to expel 3/4 of our members, it would be rather problematic.
And so let's say we get to the results. We're not going to hear them on Friday. We're going to get them on late Sunday night after the whole of the European Union has voted. A lot of those countries vote on Sundays.
And you can't even talk about them
We're
on
not allowed
Friday.
to talk about them on Friday.
Even though we've finished voting.
Yes.
And this is, I assume, EU law, that denying freedom of speech in the United Kingdom, it's another good reason for leaving.
I think it may actually be just our own Electoral Commission rules.
But they must be implementing EU law, because we're free to talk about elections in other countries when they've taken place normally. I think it's most extraordinary that we shouldn't be allowed to talk about elections once they've happened and have the exit polls and know what's going on. I very much doubt votes in Finland will be affected by what's gone on in the UK.
Well, you may make that point. Others of us may not be allowed to comment. Let's talk, though, about what happens as a result of that. OK, let's say the polls are right and 34%, even more possibly for the Brexit Party. Tories currently on 9% in single-digit figures. What happens then? How will a big Brexit vote, if all these Conservatives, you say, are voting for the Brexit Party, how will that affect what happens in the Conservative Party? This withdrawal agreement to vote, the second reading coming up beginning of June, and indeed any subsequent leadership election?
Well, I think one thing will be very clear from it that was indicated by the local elections, and that is people don't want politics as normal. They don't want a stitch-up between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party to give them a second-tier Brexit. They want a clean and clear Brexit, which was promised, and therefore I think the no-deal Brexit has to be back on the table, probably with Malthouse B as the alternative. To say to the EU, look, we will buy an implementation period from you so that we can smooth things over. But if you don't accept that, we are simply going to leave. And the Conservative Party has to be the Brexit Party. By failing to be the Brexit Party, by being the party of indecision, vacillation and incompetence, we have lost 3/4 of our vote. And we've got to get back our competence and deliver Brexit.
Nigel Farage talking about these radicalised Remainers. We know that the man who threw the milkshake has been charged with common assault and criminal damage after Nigel Farage said he definitely did want a prosecution to go ahead. Do you think that we have seen a change, Jacob Rees-Mogg, in our political debate? Because I can certainly remember, look, we go back to John Prescott, for goodness sake, being egged. And the big debate then was whether or not he was right to have punched a protester back. I was very fully on his side. You want to go around throwing stuff at politicians. I think you should expect to get a violent assault back, frankly. But do you think our political discourse has changed, and if so, for the better or the worse?
I think it fluctuates. That you can go back to the Duke of Wellington, who in old age, when everyone was saying how marvellous he was, would point to the iron shutters at Apsley House, which he had because of the stones thrown through his windows in 1832 in favour of reform. So robust political action has a long history in this country. It predates even the experiences of the Duke of Wellington. If you think of political debate in the 1950s when people went round from village hall to village hall and were heckled and had tomatoes thrown at them. This has happened in the past, but that doesn't make it right. And generally speaking, people who are incapable of articulating a decent argument have to resort to blocking access to the hall where the discussion's taking place or throwing milkshakes over people. And it's a sign of the failure, the lack of intelligence of those sorts of people rather than a broader political point, I think.
What do you make of those who, particularly on social media, have said, oh, it's all just a joke, nothing to take too seriously, and some even discussing what's the best flavour milkshake to throw over a politician?
I think
Burger King tweeting out, hey, we've got lots of milkshakes on sale this weekend, as they did when the Brexit Party were in Scotland.
I think inevitably people laugh at politicians. Politicians are partly on a public platform to be laughed at, and it's
much to be encouraged.
A healthy part of our democracy. On the other hand, throwing things at people is not to be welcomed or encouraged and is unpleasant and intimidatory. And Nigel was right to mention this double standard. Anna Soubry got shouted at, and that was very unpleasant and improper, but she didn't have anything thrown at her. I think things being thrown at people is more serious than being shouted at. I take the old view that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never harm me, and that milkshake is heading towards sticks and stones.
Let's talk about some actual meat and potatoes of politics at the moment. We do now have, in the matter of weeks, a Tory leadership contest. I think everyone's in no doubt about that. As I said, the likes of Boris Johnson, Esther McVey, Rory Stewart have said that they're definitely going to stand. Are you going to stand?
No.
Definitely not.
No, I'm
Do you know
not
who you're
going
going
to
vote for?
Yes, I will be supporting Boris Johnson.
We see, can't we, that there is quite a big move already now by Remainer Tory MPs, the One Nation MPs, they're calling themselves Amber Rudd and the like, to try and stop Boris Johnson. Will they be able to do that?
Well, I think focusing on stopping one candidate shows how strong that candidate is and how popular he is. But Boris Johnson is a candidate in a different league from others. He is a figure that has great charisma, that people get out of their cars to shake by the hand, who creates an excitement about politics. The other candidates are very, very able and good people, highly competent, would make excellent prime ministers in ordinary circumstances. But we are not in ordinary circumstances. We are facing a constitutional crisis and the Tory party looking as if it could be in a decline that it can't get out of. And that needs somebody truly exceptional to do it, which is why I will be supporting Boris. I think he has the ability to do that. And I think focusing on stopping him is essentially a trivial approach to politics, rather than putting yourself forward and saying, not let's stop X, but I'll do it, is a much more honourable course of action.
I know a lot of people feel that Brexit's taking up the whole bandwidth of government and indeed the media that we're talking about an awful lot on the show today. But there are other issues that a lot of people from all major parties want to actually get into, tackling NHS, healthcare, building more houses, a very big issue. But you've written today about social care, haven't you?
Yes, I have, in cooperation with Policy Exchange, who are publishing a paper on social care, and there is a peculiarity in social care opposed to healthcare, that if you have dementia or the decrepitude of old age, all the financing falls on to you with esoteric arguments about which bits are medical and which bits are non-medical. And all constituency MPs see this, and we take up cases for our constituents trying to argue that a bit more of it is medical than the state is saying, and so on. And that actually that doesn't seem to be a fair or workable system. It increases costs on the NHS because you have people staying in hospital when they should be in social care, but it also completely destroys people's savings who are caught. And this is a proposal of limited co-funding out of people's income, but accepting that social care is actually very hard to differentiate from healthcare. So it's essentially extending the National Health Service.
Of course, this was one of the issues that put paid to Theresa May in her manifesto at the last general election. Jacob Rees-Mogg, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me in your very elegant new studios.
Just don't spill anything.
I wasn't allowed a cup of coffee, so I can't.
Chairman of the European Research Group, Conservative MP. Now, I just must mention, obviously, we spoke to Nigel Farage a few moments ago. He's leader of the Brexit Party. He's also a candidate for them in the South East, also standing in the South East region. Our representatives from Change UK, the Conservatives, the Labour Party, the Green Party, the Liberal Democrats, UKIP, the Socialist Party of Great Britain, the UK European Union Party, and the following independents: Jason McMahon, David Rand, and Michael Turberville. For a full list of every candidate standing in every region in the European elections, just visit our website, talkradio.co.uk.